Hey, shibbity shabbity shoo, stop right there. Don't spend the $100 bills that you see in this video because they're selling online for tons of money. Now, don't get me wrong, $100, that's a lot of money. I get it. But if you have one of these $100 bills in this video, they're selling for a lot more money than just $100. I'm gonna break down everything you need to know. There's some really cool and rare and valuable $100 bills out there, and we're gonna break them down. So let's hop into this video with this first bill. It's from 2017. Now, one really important factor to understand here is that just because your banknote says a date on it does not mean that was the date it was actually produced. For example, this one says series of 2017. That means that it's a series, not a specific date. So this bill could have been made anywhere from 2017 until 2020 and further. They do that because they don't want to have to keep reprinting these printing plates every single year. Now this one could slip under the radar if you're not paying attention. However, this one was graded by PMG at a 67 and it's a cutting error, and it was able to sell for $312. Now here's a 1934 $100 bill. It's a bit older, right? 1928 was the first year of issue for these small size paper money $100 bills. 1934 is pretty old. The big thing here is the condition. 67 is really high. Understand that as soon as you put a fold anywhere on the bill that touches the design of the bill, you're going to immediately drop down to a 58. Do not put a single fold in your bill whatsoever. Every single fold and damage on your bill will decrease the value. This one sold for $840. Now this is a big face Benjamin. This is a really cool series. This is one I really want you guys to pay attention to. So I actually didn't know about this bill until not too long ago. You know, I've been doing this for over 20 years, and that's the fun of all this. You still find out really cool things about paper money you didn't know before. So we gotta set some ground rules first. First of all, in the United States, the US produces paper money at two facilities. You've got the Fort Worth, Texas facility and the Washington, D.C. facility. Now, a way to distinguish between whether or not you have a Washington, D.C. facility printed note or a Fort Worth note is by this. So near the plate position on the front of the bill, a Fort Worth, Texas printed bill is going to have a small FW on it. If you do not see an FW anywhere on your bill, that means your bill was produced at the Washington, D.C. facility. That is across the board, period. That is how it rolls with US currency. If you didn't know that, now you know. This specific bill is really peculiar because this is a Federal Reserve note from Dallas. Okay, the way you can tell that is because of the K prefix. You can see it says K11. K stands for the Dallas district. K is also the 11th letter in the alphabet. That is not a coincidence, that is on purpose. So for example, if instead of it being a K, it was an A, that would be the first letter in the alphabet, and A stands for Boston. Now why am I saying this? It's because this bill was printed at the Fort Worth, Texas facility, but it is missing an FW on the bill. Now that may seem kind of silly and not a big deal, but this pretty much never happens. These sort of errors never, ever happen. That means that this bill was printed at the Fort Worth, Texas facility using Washington, D.C. printing plates. How that happened, I have no idea, but it really should never have happened. Now, what do you need to look out for before you try to look through all your bills to see if you have this error? First of all, it needs to be a star note. So there needs to be a star at the end of the serial number. Second, it needs to be from Dallas, Texas. So there needs to be a K prefix on the bill like this one. It needs to say K11. Also, it needs to be from 2006. So 2006, Dallas, star note. Then look for a bill that has no FW near the plate position and you have one of these rare bills. This one was able to sell for $1,020. $1,920 for this big faced Benjamin here. It's a 1996 $100 bill. Now, interestingly enough, the biggest thing on this one is going to be the serial number. So this is almost a solid number 8 serial number. Let me tell you this, 8 is a very highly sought after number, especially in numismatics. Maybe even more so than 7. You know how some people love lucky number 7? Well, check this out. In some countries around the world, 3 is considered a very unlucky number, but 8 is a super rare and lucky number for them. So I'm telling you right now, if this bill started with an 8 instead of a 0 there, this would have sold for $5,000 plus. That's what I would have estimated it at. Because of that little 0 at the front, it only sold for $1,920. Now that's still a lot of money, and this is still a really unique and cool serial number, but be on the lookout for rare serial numbers because this one sold for nearly $2,000. Speaking of rare serial numbers, I'll be brief on this one, but we are all familiar with this blue enhanced security feature $100 bill here. The big thing here, you know, is going to be that serial number. This bill sold for $15,600, a lot of money. And I do want to point out the FW there. You can see there's an FW before the plate position. That means what? That means this bill was produced at the Fort Worth, Texas facility. Really cool to know that information. But the main thing, like like I said, serial number 1 bills are going to trump all other serial numbers. This is the serial number you want. If you have this bill, you've hit the mother lode. $15,600 it sold for. So looking at the front of this 1996 $100 bill, when it comes to printing paper money, the second print is everything you see here in black, outside of that seal on the left-hand side. The third print is going to be that overprint, which is the green serial numbers, the green seal on the right, and the black seal on the left. That is the last print for paper money. Now you notice I left off the first print. What is the first print during the printing process? If you're paying attention, you got it right. It is the back of the bill. So the back of the bill is the first print, and in this instance, the first print is completely missing. So this is a big oopsie by the US BEP, where they print paper money. BEP stands for Bureau of Engraving and Printing, by the way. But because of this, it was able to sell for $2,640. Now be careful. Do not buy any ungraded bills like this, because this is a type of bill that can be very easily replicated in the hands of a bad actor. They can scrub it down and turn a $100 bill into bills worth thousands of dollars. Now, you may be asking yourself, why would you tell that to people? Well, it's better to have the knowledge and education. That way you don't get scammed or ripped off. So if you ever want to buy an error note, you want to make sure that it's certified by a company like PMG or PCGS, because if they mess up, if they make a mistake, there's a full money back guarantee and you're fully protected. That way, you're all good. But if you buy a raw note and it's actually counterfeit or it's altered or anything like that, you're in deep trouble. So make sure to stay away from those. Once again, this one sold for $2,640. Here we have a 1928 $100 bill. So first year of issue, really, really cool. Also, they call this a numeral type, but it's a really cool thing that happened. So like I said, 1928 is the first year they made these bills. Numeral types are the first types. What is a numeral type? So typically the seal on the left-hand side is called the district seal, and most of the time you're going to see a letter there and not a number. So you can have a 1 through 12 or an A through L in that location. If you have a number in that location, that means you have a numeral type bill. This only happens in 1928. Numeral type bills are worth more money than non-numeral type bills. A combination of a numeral type bill, I've said that so many times now, plus it being a star note, okay? To keep it very brief, if you don't know, a star note happens when there's an error in the printing run. They will replace it with a star at the end of the serial number to signify it was a replacement note, okay? Star notes are typically worth more money than non-star notes across the board. So you got a star note, you have a numeral type bill from 1928. It is the Chicago district that it was issued for, and it is a high grade by PMG at a 66. That's why this $100 bill sold for $19,200. Now, if you enjoyed this video and want to learn more about coins and paper money, check out our completely free Coin and Currency ebook down below, and we will see you in the next video.